All right, folks, we are live, and it is time for your matchup recap. Week 9 is in the books. Of course, you know why you're getting a recap this week. Your mighty commissioner picked up the dub this week, vanquished the always tough Justin Beltran. Justin put up a valiant 66-point effort. Got to be proud of the effort his guys put out there. It's a good thing that you held on to Christian McCaffrey all this time so that you could get back-end RB2 production here instead of trading him away for an absolute ransom that I'm sure you could have gotten for him. McCaffrey with 10.6 points. I mean, look, he's a turd. He sucks. Dallas Goedert sucks. Boston Scott sucks. Justin's team's in shambles. You look at my team, I'm very much on the upswing. You got Jonathan Taylor and Dalvin Cook getting it done for me. Zeke also at 9.6, not a terrible effort from Zeke. So I put up the third highest score in the league this week at 88.88. You heard that right. That was the third highest score of the week. It was an ugly week for fantasy. Not a whole lot of points to go around. So your highest score of the week was Tony Sr., Aaron the Virus, beating Darnold Sucks, beating the brakes off of John Heyman, 105-78. Heyman started Sam effing Darnold for what's got to be the worst quarterback performance in the league so far this season, negative 1.66. He got, bar none, the most fluky, crazy production game that you will ever see from James Conner. Highest score of the week, 35.3. But unfortunately for Heyman, that accounted for about 42% of his point total on the week. Nobody else on his team did really anything. Najee Harris, at the end of the first drive against the Bears, had about 10 fantasy points. He finished with 13.8. So Najee maybe not as good as we all thought. Kyle Pitts is an absolute bum. He can't handle the top corner is shadowing Kyle Pitts now, and he can't handle it. Not real sure what's going on with Austin Eckler. He's just kind of fading away. Now, on Tony Sr.'s side of things, Amari Cooper still sucks, guys. 3.7 fantasy points. What a bum. Alvin Kamara, though, big game, 16.4, over 100 yards, gets the touchdown. Great effort from Alvin Kamara. The play of the week, though, the stream of the week, Carson Wentz, Thursday night at home against the Jets. Senior had to go on the fly, replace Aaron Rodgers because he's an anti-vax asshole. Had to replace him on the fly, goes and snatches Carson Wentz, gets 24.74, which was actually about a 26-point gap between Wentz and Darnold's performance. That's basically the gap in the game. The stream of Wentz wins Senior the game. So there you go. Heyman, your team sucks and you're crumbling. Senior right in the playoff picture like he usually is. Now, the next matchup, Tony Jr. beats Jason. And before I go any further, I would be remiss if I didn't note that once again, we are looking at the Welch sweep in this league. You had both Tonys getting the dub, and you had your commish getting the dub. I think we're just better at fantasy football than the rest of you guys. I think that's what this comes down to. And it's probably because of our superior genetics. I mean, we're just much smarter than you guys. There's not much you can do about it. So there you go. Now, Jason puts up 86.92, which was actually the fourth highest score in the league this week. Still gets the loss, though. Pat Mahomes, very disappointing. Tyreek Hill, very disappointing. Elijah Moore and Joe Mixon exploded, but it wasn't enough. Michael Carter looks good, guys. Even at Indy, he put up 86 yards. I mean, Michael Carter's legit. Hate to break it to everybody, but he can ball. Lamar Jackson on Tony's side of things basically threw Tony on his back and carried him to the victory, 31.32. And again, we have a gap here of 22 points between the quarterbacks here, and that was more than the gap in the game. So big-time quarterback play, extremely important. It's why I went out and got Josh Allen. Apparently he sucks too. I don't know what to tell you guys. Speaking of guys that suck, Aaron Jones is borderline useless. All kidding aside, DJ Moore is borderline cuttable at this point. 4.6 points. Has not crossed 8 points since week 4. That means he's been really bad for a really long time. I don't know. Tony can't be confidently rolling him out there. But Tony gets the dub anyway behind Lamar Jackson's huge effort. Devontae Smith also baller effort. And it looks like A.J. Dillon's starting to take over the Green Bay backfield. So good luck deciding which one to play every week. Now we got Joe playing great defense once again, eking out a win against Vetri. Nick Chubb just absolutely dominated this game, 28.3 points. He crushed the Bengals early and often. Really the only player that stood out on Joe's team as an overperformer. On John's side of things, it's a bad team and he's playing badly. I mean, I don't know what else to say. You got Devontae Adams has not had a big game in a while, since week 5, it looks like. He managed to get 16.8 out of Naheem Hines. God knows how. But even that wasn't enough. Vetri gets the loss. Now, the matchup of the week. You had Reese, who was in first place, steamrolling everyone, highest amount of points, versus Jared, who's getting his ass kicked every week, not scoring any points, just sucking up a storm. So, of course, 2021 fantasy football, Reese gets his ass kicked. Man, I'll tell you what, losing to Jared should count as 2 losses. That shouldn't just count as 1. I might have to go in and commissioner tool an extra loss in there. You can't be losing to Jared. And you know what? I'm going to show you this week how to get it done against the Sauls Maniac. Hopefully we get Jared back in the chat soon. He stops being a little baby and comes back into the chat. If not, Jared, I'll get you a bobble and you can just suck on that all season long instead of these L's you've been sucking on. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that you are so bent out of shape about Steve rejoining the chat. Steve rejoins the chat, you finally win a game. Maybe it's not the worst thing in the world. Maybe Steve is your good luck charm. You ever think of that, Salzman? Get it together and just, put it past you. It's in the past. Let's have some fun. Now, that being said, again, another monster QB effort. Justin Herbert, 28.52. Matt Stafford, 9.18. That is the difference in the game here. It was the gap between the teams was only 16. The gap between the quarterbacks was 19. This week, big-time QB play was the cause of a lot of W's. Kittle is back. He looks fantastic. Keenan Allen still kind of meh, Kadarius Toney, Jared promptly rage cut, as well as Brian Edwards, who combined for 0.7. Otherwise, Jared would have had a much bigger week. But he didn't need it. And you know why? Because Reese learns this lesson every year. I shouldn't say learns this lesson because he never learns. He loads his team up with all players from the same teams. And then when they have a down game, he's going to put up 60 some odd points, which, to be fair, the rest of us do that all the time too. So, it is what it is. But that being said, that's why it's so tough to win a Super Bowl, the roster, the way the Reese has constructed his roster. Of course, Derrick Henry going down was a major blow to him, and that's going to hurt all season long. We'll see if this is the start of a trend for Reese. I don't know. I mean, I think he probably bounces back pretty strong. A lot of talent on that team, but we'll see. And but shame on your house forever for losing to Jared. I mean, Jared's having the worst luck anybody's ever had in fantasy, and still managed to beat you. So again, should count as a double loss. I'm going to talk it over with the triumvirate, maybe add in an extra loss for Reese for losing to Jared. And I will see you guys tomorrow or Thursday, whichever I decide to do it, for your matchup previews. There you go. Jason, I'm expecting the basketball matchup previews and recaps to get your ass on it. You are the worst commissioner in the history of commissioners. There you go. Goodbye.